Hi, my name's Kye Robinson, and you're watching me on Run For Us Run TV. Hello, my name is Kye Robinson. I'm 21 years old, and recently I became the age group world champion down at Wollongong. It was really great to get the win on the home ground, surrounded by all my fellow Australians. It made me very proud. And about a month and a half later, I went to Qatar for T100 age group world champions, and I also won that. So just moving into 2026, I'm aiming for the 3 worlds, standard distance, T100 and 70.3. So I guess my relationship with sports in my childhood was very prominent. I always ran with my dad from a very early age, but I pretty much played every and any sport. So from nippers, gymnastics, hockey, soccer, basketball, tennis, everything. And eventually I moved into basketball. I committed to that pretty hard for about 6 years or so, but I was still always a runner, and then I kind of felt like I'd run my course in basketball. Didn't get big enough for that, so I transitioned into triathlon, and it was a pretty good decision, I'd say. Reaching the end of my basketball career, I was at a bit of a crossroads, and I was offered an ultimatum, either AFL or triathlon. I chose triathlon, and shortly after starting it, I moved into Illawarra Academy of Sport. And that's where I found a bunch of other really nice athletes to help me fall in love with the sport. But more importantly, I was coached by Brendan Sexton. And as a very early athlete, it was very transformative because he was just, so much experience and a lot of discipline in doing things right. Definitely, I can tell my cycling ability and standards on how to ride in a group is worlds above anyone else. Moving into the Illawarra Academy of Sport, it was probably the best way to be introduced into triathlon. And at that early age, there's just so much opportunity to grow in the sport with all the racing. But Brendan especially was the best coach I could have asked for at that age. Whether it was open water swimming and being pushed into some pretty heavy swell, or crip riding around the car park where it was tight turns, heaps of cones, and challenge to essentially crash to know that you're going to the point of failure. But no, it was great. And moving into a group of people that are around the same age as me in triathlon, it has been nice to have that group to fall back on. And only recently down in Wollongong, I was able to meet up with them, and no, it was great. Lifetime friends. Eventually, Brendan had to move on to bigger, better things, which was fine. And so another coach came into the academy, and I stuck around for a bit, but eventually got a little bit too old for the academy and the junior racing. So I moved on to another coach, Nathan Miller with Project M, and he's been the best coach I've ever had. Not only for triathlon coaching, being just a whiz on the training blocks and heart rate zones and just everything, but also life coaching, an insane amount of experience in the military, prison security, and then into triathlon. So yeah, no, very good. So with my new coach, I was getting a lot of good training done down in Wollongong, but then COVID hit, and that wasn't really a speed bump. I still managed to train, but as soon as it ended, my family moved up to the Gold Coast, and I had to stick around for about 2 to 3 more weeks to finish my HSC. No more furniture left in the apartment, just on a plastic table and sitting on some camp chairs. But the day after my last exam, I drove up to the Gold Coast, and it's been great for training, and more notably, I like the water temperature. I used to be called Timbers by Brendan, because of how much I shivered in the open water. But here, I don't know, it's a dream. Exactly what I've been looking for. Living and training on the Gold Coast, there's a range of groups and people that you can meet and train with, more than what you would find anywhere else in the world. So throughout the week, I'll run with Gold Coast Run Co, a bunch of incredible runners. And you'll also find Aaron Royal there every now and then. And then on Fridays, I'll swim with Phil Clayton, open water. And you can also find a lot of athletes there. I've found a few 70.3 world champions, Olympic gold medalists. It's a mix, but it's always high tier. And then Saturdays, Burley cycling, just heaps of training opportunities on the Gold Coast. So a typical week for me currently is no rest days. It'll be 2 sessions a day except Saturday, which is a triple session, including a 5-hour bike. So I'm always kind of, I guess, looking forward to Saturdays. But my weekly mileage is about 8 to 15k in the pool, about 220 to 250k on the bike, but most of that time is indoor. So not as much time, but a lot more benefit. And then running is about 30 to 50k a week, but I've almost always kept it a lot lower because I've been a natural runner. So I've had to pay more attention to the other aspects of my training. Over about my 7 to 8 years of triathlon, the biggest challenge has been improving my swim. I've always been a runner and I've always been a good runner. My cycling's improved on a pretty linear path, so I've never really had to worry too much about that, but swimming has been a challenge. For about the first, I guess, 2 years, there was very little improvement. And then maybe every now and then it would jump up a bit, but no, a bad swimmer to start with. Everything was backwards, no feel for the water, sinking a lot at the back. So it's taken me all this time to eventually start to feel, I guess, good in the water and have it be a competitive leg in my arsenal. Moving into 2026, I'm just doing a little bit of, I guess, local racing to have a little bit of fun, but the goal coming up is Gold Coast T100. Coming off Qatar T100, I'm hoping to improve a little bit on the distance. And then that'll be the last race for a while until my 3 World Championships at the end of the year. So standard distance, 70.3 and T100. Later in the year, going to do these 3 races. The first one will be standard distance, and that'll be in Spain. And then after doing that, I'll hang around for about 2 weeks and maybe head over to Andorra for a little bit for some training. And then it'll be 70.3 Worlds in Nice. And then about 2 to 3 weeks after that, it'll be T100 in Qatar. So I'd also just like to take this opportunity to thank a few of the people that have supported me since coming up to the Gold Coast. So A+ Performance down in Burley, my strength coach. Phil Clayton, open water swimming. It's been very beneficial to my swimming. Trek Burley, very helpful with a lot of my road bike and time trial bike servicing. Brad at Pogo Physio for always being helpful. But most importantly, just my parents for supporting me through everything and paying for everything and cooking food and having a house for me to stay in and taking care of the bikes, and I don't know, I could go on forever. For most athletes, they'll have a very clear ambition and goal to be an Olympian or to get a gold medal. But I'm a very short-term thinker. I'll only look at today's training and maybe peak at tomorrow's training. So it makes it very easy for me to go through week to week because it doesn't overwhelm me at all. Even for races, I put all my trust in my coach to choose the races I do, and that's about all the thinking that I do, just the training, and if I follow his plan, I'll race well. So if you're thinking about getting into the sport of triathlon, my advice to you would be start small, start slow, respect the distance, don't go straight to an Ironman, build up that base, get that experience, and then just make sure you hit every distance well. Don't just build for 1 year and do it. If you're gonna race, compete, don't complete.
One more